Hello, everybody. I'm Paul Ryden. You've heard the expression, he's such a good salesman that he could sell water to a drowning man. Well, some salespeople just have the gift, or is it a secret to their success that they've discovered? For every company's top salesman, I bet there are many more underachievers who, given the right tools, could turn them from Willie Loman to Salesperson of the Year. Jerry Acuff is a sales expert who, with his new book, Stop Acting Like a Seller and Start Thinking Like a Buyer, can transform salespeople from good to great. Jerry, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Paul. It's exciting to be here.
Well, good. What's the difference between thinking like a seller and thinking like a buyer? Don't you want to put yourself in your buyer's shoes?
Well, that's the way most people have been taught. Um, my bias is, and I actually say this in the book, the less you care about the sale, the more you sell.
Really?
Yeah, because if you're just thinking about how much you're going to sell, who are you thinking about?
Yourself.
Exactly. And the greatest salespeople are people who are concerned about what is it that they can do to help the client
Hmm.
or prospect become more effective. And so it's far more interesting that we ascertain, can we really help these people? I mean, I'll give you a simple example. I mean, years ago when I was in the pharmaceutical business, I was working with one of my reps. We went to see a doctor. I asked him three or four questions and then I left. And he said, "You're not going to tell me anything?" I said, "No." And he said, "Why not?" I said, "Because we can't help you."
Oh, really?
Yeah. And when I walked outside, my rep says, "Well, how often do I go back to see him?" I said, "You don't ever go back. You're wasting his time. He does not need our product. We only want people who can benefit from our product that haven't maybe thought that our product would be better, but we're not for everybody." And so if you go in, I'll give you another one. There's a book called The Hook Point. Have you read this book?
No.
It's not a great book, but it's got one thing in there that's genius.
Yeah, what is that?
He says that if you want people to remember you, you need to practice pattern interruption that makes them want to learn more.
What do you mean?
Now, well, I'll tell you exactly. If you're a salesman or saleswoman and you walk into somebody, the average the people that we talk to, and I ask them, how many salespeople do you see in a month? The answer typically with our clientele is 100.
Hmm.
My next question to the customer is, how many are any good? You know what the answer is? Almost invariably, less than five.
Not many.
No, less than five.
Oh, really?
And so, yeah, but why is that? Because they all sound the same.
Hmm.
I was working with a client years ago, and they actually commissioned this guy to find out what makes the best rep the best rep. And the guy interviewed 2,000 people, and he asked them all the same question. And when they asked me, because I was creating their sales program, they wanted me to find out what did he learn. And I called the guy and I said, "Look, what'd you learn?" And he was a pollster. He said, "Well, we interviewed 2,000 people, and 60% of them, that would have been 1,200, had the exact same three-word answer.
Hmm.
They're different."
Hmm.
What that means is that the 98% or 95% of people that go in to see somebody, they want to sort of start telling you who they want to see, what they want to talk about. We got this new product. We're going to do this. And nobody's listening.
Huh.
So what I teach people is simple. I say, look, when you go into somebody's office and you've never seen them, here's what I want you to say. Is it okay if we do something different? Now, whoever you're saying that to, they don't have a damn clue what you're talking about.
Yeah, sure.
So their answer will be, sure, what do you want to do?
Hmm.
You say, I don't want to sell you anything. Now, the moment that I say I don't want to sell you anything, what happens to sales resistance?
Well, it drops, I assume.
Exactly. So what you say is, look, I'm not going to sell you anything. So I just told you twice, I'm not going to sell you anything. But here's what I'd love to do. If you were me and you were coming to this office, what is the one thing you would say that would make me be different than the other people that call on you? And then as soon as they tell you that, get the hell out of there.
Hmm.
Because everybody wants to stay there and try and see if they can see somebody.
Yeah.
And it's a joke. Now, the next time you go and you say, can we do something different? and they'll say, yeah. And you say, is it okay if I ask you a question, maybe 3 or 4 questions? And they're going to say yes, because what you've done in those first 2 moments, you have absolutely shown that you're not like everybody else. Mm-hmm. Now, let me tell you why that's important. The reason it's important is because of this. Studies have shown, and I've been reading this stuff for, since Moby Dick was a minnow. And what I learned is that more than 70%, maybe as low as 50% of sales happen on the 5th or after try.
Really?
So if it's going to take me 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, then why am I trying to ruin it up front?
Right.
I want that person to say, he's different. Mm-hmm. She's different. They're not like everybody else. Because who does the person at the office front, who does he or she say to the customer?
I don't know.
They say to the doctor or to the customer or the buyer, he's different.
Uh-huh.
And I want them to say he's different. Now, 2 people tell you you're drunk, lay down. This guy interviewed 2,000 people, and 1,200 people had the exact same response. They're just not the same. They're all different.
Huh.
And I'm saying, well, that's what we need to teach people. So to me, I'm trying to figure out, what does the client think about what they're doing? So I want them to know that I'm going to ask them some questions. And then if it's the wrong place, I'm going to leave. If it's not, then I'm going to have some words, and we teach this. Mm-hmm. We give you some words that make you want to say, so in a perfect world, about how many patients do you think or opportunities do you have to buy this? And they'll give you an answer. Now, that answer could either tell you that you need to get the heck out of there or you need to stay. But what happens is the average salesperson is a talker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they want to, and then the best salespeople are listeners.
Right. That's a good point. But now not everyone is, I was going to ask you something. I can't remember what it was now, but not everyone is selling goods. Some of them are selling themselves or selling a concept.
Yeah.
Is there any difference in that?
No, there's no difference. The key is, this is what you have to have a reason to see people. Mm-hmm. So I'll give you an example. I'm a basketball junkie, and I didn't play basketball. I played college football, but I moved to Arizona, and I wanted to meet the basketball coach at Arizona State because I like basketball.
Okay.
And so I'm not selling them anything. But anyway, I asked 10 people this question, and I teach this in this book. How well do you know blank, if at all? Now, most people say, do you know somebody? Mm-hmm. And people could say yes, and then you really don't have any place to go. But I say, how well do you know this guy? In this case, it was Herb. And he said, 9 people said they didn't know him. The 10th one said they did. Next question, how comfortable would you be introducing me? Don't say, would you introduce me? How comfortable would you be? He said, hey, you want to go meet him on Thursday? I said, sure. So I go meet him on Thursday. Now, I also have to know that he and I have to bring the conversation. And the conversation was about another basketball coach who's a dear friend of mine. And everybody knows who both of them are. And so at the end of the meeting, here's what he said to me. What do you want from me?
Nothing.
I said, look, I don't want anything. I said, I think your T-shirts are ugly, and I don't want one of those. I said, but let me ask you this question. I said, you have 15 players in that locker room. And I said, in a perfect world, how many of those players would be able to play basketball for the rest of their life and never get a job? He said, none of them. I said, well, let me tell you what I'd like to do. and you can do it or not do it. I'd like to go in there and tell them, how do you build relationships with people so that they actually can get a job? Mm-hmm. And he said, can you do that tomorrow? And I said, yes. And then the next question I asked him, I said, well, let me ask you one more question. Do you believe that recruiting is selling? He said, yes. I said, well, I'll also teach you how to recruit.
Okay.
And so I've been his mentor now for 17 years.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, now, before you go in on a call like that one, or any call like when you were in pharmaceuticals, how much research do you do ahead of time about your client?
As much as I possibly can.
Yeah, I would think so.
That's one of the reasons why, I think I've got maybe 20,000 followers on LinkedIn, and that's a really, really good source for that. But the other thing is, that if I know that I'm going to meet somebody like that, I just pick out 10 people that I know and ask them, how well do you know blank, if at all?
Yeah, yeah.
Most people don't do that. And in my mind, I may get shot, I may get shot down a lot, but it's just the way it is. And so anyway, I mentor 2 college basketball coaches, and both of them are probably 2 of the best in the country. And I don't get paid for any of it. I just do it because I like it. But I built relationships with them via other people. And this is why relationship building, and that's the last part of this book, is so important, because people can introduce you to other people, especially if they believe in you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I think that's what's crucial in my business is, I had a conversation this week with one of our clients, and he's got 700 reps. And, and the last thing he said to me when I hung up, he said, I love you, man. But I've done a lot of work for this man, a lot of work. And he's got a new job, and I haven't talked to him in 7 months. But I called him, and I'm going to get a chance to go after some of that business. So relationships to me are almost everything. But I can also tell you that I never wanted to be in sales, ever.
Really?
Yes, I hated it.
What happened?
I was a rep for 6 years. And then when I became a manager, I remember having this conversation with myself. I know how to sell, but I don't know how to teach it. So I went to the bookstore and I bought a book called Winning Strategies in Selling by Roger Staubach and Jack and Gary Kinder.
Oh, okay.
And I read the book only because he was a football player, because I played college football. And of course, everybody knew who Staubach was back then.
Right.
But in that book, he said this. He quoted a guy named Charlie Tremendous Jones, God rest his soul. He said, chances are you'll be the same person 5 years from today that you are today, with the exception of 2 things: the people you meet and the books that you read. And the person who won't read is truly no better off than the person who can't read. And I remember standing in a bookstore in Brookwood Mall in Birmingham, Alabama, saying, I'm an idiot. And I don't know any of this stuff. Now, I have read 660 business books since that day.
Good grief.
And, but I'm a very learned person because of that. And I've written 5 books. And my newest one is a Wall Street Journal bestseller. Now I'm smart enough to get a ghostwriter, but I mean, all of my learning came from that one quote where he told me, basically, you're ignorant.
Interesting. Well, now, are you always trying to learn new techniques? Are you a lifelong learner?
Oh yes, you can't quit. You can't quit. You can't quit. I mean, I don't know what I'd do if I did quit. Now, some books, I read as many as I can. I rarely throw one away, but there's some, like, for example, if somebody asked me what's the best book that you would ever recommend, it would be The Power of Consistency by Weldon Long. Weldon's book is very, very similar to Maxwell Maltz's book, but it's a far easier read, and it's a great book, and it'll change your life.
Did you ever struggle in sales yourself?
Well, that's a great question. I went to college, and my parents, they had no money. I got a college scholarship, but The answer is yes. I mean, I sat in a grocery store parking lot because I worked for Lipton Tea back when I first got out of college.
Mm-hmm.
And I would sit in the parking lot, and it would take me an hour to get up the guts to go in and talk to them.
Really?
And so I left that, and I went I went back into coaching because I wanted to coach football. And then my college roommate said to me, hey, he called me and he said, do you want to get a job in the pharmaceutical business? I said, well, Michael, who would hire me? I said, I have no English. I said, I got a degree in English. I have no science. I mean, I'm an idiot. And he said, no, this guy likes athletes. And so I said, well, I'm going to go interview with the guy, but I know my shot is zero. And the guy hired me. And he's still alive today. He's in his mid 80s, but he taught me so much about how to be great at selling without being a jerk. And then the next boss I had, then I became a manager. He had taught the other guy. And so I'm surrounded for 17 consecutive years between everybody who believed the things that I now believe, which is the less you care about the sale, the more you sell. Just be really damn good at what you do, and you'll be just fine.
Well, man, Jerry, I wish we had more time to talk because I bet your book is just full of stuff. Stop acting like a seller and start thinking like a buyer. It's available on Amazon. I assume it's available other places, but
yes,
that sounds like it's a gold mine for anybody who wants to sell themselves, sell a concept, an idea, or a product. And we're just grateful that you spent some time with us today.
Well, I appreciate you having me, Paul. Thanks for listening to me. I like talking to I like to hear myself talk, especially when somebody asks me great questions, which you did.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you, folks, for spending a few minutes with us on the Global Book Network. I'm Paul Ryden, and we'll see you next time.